Hello and welcome to today's YouTube video. Today's topic is going to be what is transposing, how do I transpose, and how can I use transposing to my advantage. And I actually want to start as white. I don't know why I was black there. But essentially transposing is switching from one opening to another, but you can reach it by a different move order. So essentially what I'm saying is, for example, if you play the Karo Khan, I know I just switched back to black, but if you play the Karo Khan here, and instead of E4, they start with D4, and you still play C6, this is actually a very bad example, but I'll show you later. If they play E4, now you transpose through the Karo Khan, and good job, you did it. You played the Karo Khan against D4. I will show you why that is bad later. But the reason I want to make this video is because I have a tournament tonight and I was thinking about it. What if someone plays the Benoni against me? Because I'm a D4 player and C5 is kind of a legit opening. You're not winning immediately against it, but I mean, it is worse. But I'm just like, okay, I used to play the Smith-Morra Gambit. So why don't I just play E4? This is a Sicilian Smith-Morra Gambit. Now, this is a transposition, and the reason it's a transposition is because you can also reach this position from E4, C5, and then D4. So it's kind of an opposite move order, but you are kind of ruining the opponent's wants to play the Benoni. I mean, what if a Benoni player has never played a Sicilian in their life? And also, Benoni players, in my experience, are players that are like, okay, let's not play theory. Let's play this move that nobody studies. And yeah, I believe this will take them right out of the comfort zone, because if they even accept it at all, then they're already getting into theory. Because even if they play knight f6, now it's actually pretty theoretical. You're in the Alpine formation Sicilian against the Morra, which is pretty theoretical, pretty hard to play for black in my opinion. You kind of have to know what you're doing, and yeah, it's just a much different position than what I think Benoni players are looking for. Now for my next example, it's going to be as black because there's a much more complicated one here, and the reason I'm going to show this is because I used to play a Sicilian Khan. Now you're like, what the heck is that? I don't know what you're talking about, bro. Okay, well, this is the Khan Sicilian right here. You play E6, and essentially on the next move, you play A6. It's a system. You can learn it pretty easily, but I don't recommend it. It was very hard for me to play, which is why I play the Accelerated Dragon now. But you'll see some grandmasters playing the Khan Sicilian, like Amon Hambleton. He's a very Khan Sicilian kind of person. But yeah, this is the Khan, kind of. This is actually called the French Sicilian on chess.com right now, and that's actually kind of funny because what I'm trying to transpose to is the French defense. Now, this is the French structure already. Chess.com doesn't call it French defense yet because you started with C5, but yeah, you can just transpose to the French defense very commonly in the Sicilian, especially in the Khan. That's a very common transposition to get is to the French, and they can go even worse here if they play E5 because now it's just a full-on French defense advance, and you can already take on D4, and hey, guess what? You have two central pawns and your opponent only has one. Now fundamentally that is just better for black, since one of the basic things about chess is you want to control the center, and fundamentally you can do that better now because you have two pawns in the center and your opponent only has one, and they also have knight in the center, but that's not too much since it is pretty loose. But a mistake here if they play C3, maybe don't play this, because then they do get this, which is kind of bad. Yeah, against this, it's actually just better to play, a free pawn, which is why that's a bad example. But yeah. Anyways, I want to go on to showing you what isn't a transposition. Now, this is very important because I did show this as an example for the first one, but it was a better example. My bad. Against d4, if you're a Caro-Kann player and you play c6, this is not a Caro-Kann. It's not a Caro-Kann. I'm sorry. It's a completely different opening because a lot of d4 players play c4 on the next move, trying to play a Queen's Gambit kind of structure. And if you play d5 here, thinking, this is what I do in the Caro-Kann. No, this is a Slav defense. It's a completely different opening. It's still a good opening, luckily for you, but you have to know how to play it. You have to know like how to set up your pieces, and yeah, it's a good system, but it's not the Caro-Kann. This is not a transposition. Don't do this if you're not a Slav player as well as a Caro-Kann player. If you're both, then great, maybe do this. No biggie. But against d4, you can even do d5 and then c6 and the transpose, which is maybe fundamentally better. But yeah, that is not a transposition, and yeah. But basically, the reason I wanted to make this video for you, rather than like me just coming up with random ideas for my tournaments, is I'm just going to show the Sicilian idea again, even though it's more of a French idea. But if they play this, for example, if they're an open Sicilian player, they don't know how to play this position. Like, usually, people who get transpositioned or move ordered into a different opening just don't know how to play that opening. I've gotten move ordered in playing the French defense when I used to play the Con Sicilian, and I'm not a French player, so I didn't like doing this. So playing e5, it was a good move, but I don't know what to do at all. And yeah, if you're playing as white here, like, wait, this is a French defense? What's a French defense? Like, they're looking at the chess.com opening thing, and then you take, and they're like, oh shoot, I only have one central pawn. They're not gonna think that, they're beginners. But you're like, aha, gotcha. You don't know what you're doing, and I do. So that's why you should like know about transpositions at least. You'll see grandmasters like, do their old look at the ceiling trick, and then like, aha, this transposes to, like some like obscure opening that nobody like knows anything about, and then you're like, the heck are you talking about, dude? Like, are you on drugs? But yeah, you need to know what transpositions are. That's why this I can't really show it to you, but that's why the opening name changes on chess.com like all the time. And you can actually tell when you transposition on chess.com sometimes, because it'll just like completely change the entire name. For example, right here, this is called the Sicilian defense martial counterattack, and once I believe e5 is the French defense advanced, Nimzovich system. So yeah, it's completely different, even though I think this is the French structure still, but chess.com doesn't think so, because you played c5 first. But yeah, now you know what transpositioning is, or transposing, as more people call it. I showed you a couple practical examples of what you shouldn't do to transpose sometimes. Like if you're a Caro-Kann player, don't expect your opponent to play, here, let me just show it on the board so it's not difficult. If you're a Caro-Kann player, don't play this, because your opponent has to play e4 to transpose the Caro-Kann. If you're not a Slav defense player and you play this, guess what? This isn't a Caro-Kann. You don't know what you're doing here if you've never played Slav before, or you haven't studied the Slav at all. So yeah, you have to be the one like that holds all the power. You have to like transpose your own structures, not let your opponent do it to you. And you have to know when your opponent can transpose to a different style of opening. For example, if you're a Benoni player, you have to know what to do against the Smith Mora Gambit, because that's one of the things that can happen on move 2. So if you're completely like lost here as black, maybe try and find a different opening to play, because it is move 2, and I wouldn't say this is an uncommon response, because it is the second move on the engine. So it's not obscure, it's not bad, it's just an opening. You have to deal with it. But yeah, I hope this helped. I hope now you have a better understanding of what transposing is. And I hope maybe you can trick your opponents by transposing to a opening that you may know better than them. And also, yeah, I hope some practical examples helped you understand it a little bit deeper if you already knew what it was. And yeah, don't forget to leave a comment down below, like and subscribe. And as always, I will see you in tomorrow's video.